Or idaliskur sa MMA na iduasquile sa Master. What's up everyone, and welcome back to the M&A Zone. We've got a packed episode today, so let's jump straight into the biggest stories making waves across combat sports right now. Walter Walker chokes out Zahn Clark in Karate Combat. We're kicking things off with a wild moment from Karate Combat, where Walter Walker secured another submission victory, this time against Zion Clark. Walker, who has built a reputation as the so-called heel hook specialist, came into this fight riding a streak of 4 straight heel hook finishes, all in the first round, and once again he managed to get the job done, submitting Clark in dominant fashion. But what really caught everyone's attention was Walker attempting to lock in his signature heel hook on Clark, despite Clark having no legs. The moment quickly went viral across social media, sparking debate and reactions from fans and fighters alike. And before we move on, make sure to smash that like button to support the channel and help us keep bringing you the latest MMA and combat sports news every single day. Thomas Spinal not happy with the MMA business. Next up, we've got a major update involving UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, and it's not good news. Reports continue to surface about the physical and mental toll Aspinall has endured since his fight with Cyril Gane, and now the champion is openly criticizing how the M&A business operates. In a recent feature story, Aspinall made it clear that he's frustrated with how fighters are treated, especially when serious injuries are involved. He said that while he still loves martial arts and always will, he absolutely hates the business side of the sport. He explained that fighters are treated as if they're completely replaceable, and that even when something serious happens, like an illegal strike that could impact a fighter for life, the system doesn't really care. Aspinall's comments have sparked massive discussion among fans, with many questioning whether the UFC and MMA promotions do enough to protect fighters. When asked about a possible return date, Aspinall shut down any speculation. He said he's not even thinking about fighting right now, and is only focused on getting his health back to normal. According to him, talking about a comeback timeline is pointless until he feels fully recovered. And speaking of his health, a recent summary of his medical issues paints a pretty alarming picture. Aspinall reportedly still struggles to track moving objects with his eyes, requires dozens of eye drops every day, experiences dizziness when changing direction, has trouble shaking hands because of vision issues, needs help getting around, and even struggles with daily activities like playing with his kids. He also has a persistent black spot in his vision that hasn't gone away. Despite all of this, Aspinall has confirmed that he plans to fight again and intends to continue his career in MMA. Recently, rumors spread online that the UFC asked him to vacate the heavyweight title, and that he might leave for boxing if released. But those reports were quickly denied by his team. Aspinall also posted on social media that he's still in the game, shutting down speculation about retirement. For now, it looks like we won't be seeing Aspinall defend his title anytime soon, but fans are still hopeful that he can make a full recovery and return stronger than ever. Daniel Cormier reacts to the boxing vs MMA debate. Now let's talk about the never-ending boxing versus MMA debate, which is once again heating up. This time, the discussion reignited after comments from fighters across both sports, with Shakur Stevenson criticizing the boxing skills of UFC fighters and Joaquin Buckley firing back by saying he dominates Stevenson in a real fight. Buckley also argued that MMA is far more exciting than boxing. Daniel Cormier recently weighed in on the debate and shared his thoughts on his YouTube channel. He said that Buckley was right to respond to Stevenson and argued that MMA doesn't need to be boxing to be successful. Cormier also pointed out that boxing today lacks the massive, consistent super fights that define past eras. He referenced legendary periods in boxing history when icons like Ali, Tyson, and the Four Kings were regularly competing in huge matchups, saying the sport felt different back then. He added that even during Lennox Lewis' reign as heavyweight champion, boxing felt bigger and more unified. Cormier's comments have sparked discussion among fans, with some agreeing that boxing struggles to deliver consistent mega fights, while others argue that boxing is still thriving, especially in places like the UK, where stadiums are still being filled for big events. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with DC, or do you think boxing is still delivering massive fights? UFC fight updates and upcoming cards. Now let's get into some UFC updates and upcoming fights. According to longtime Canadian MMA reporter Adam Martin, the UFC is set to return to Canada's capital city, Ottawa, for a card scheduled on April 18th. While the main event hasn't been confirmed yet, multiple Canadian fighters are expected to be featured on the card. Early reports suggest that Jasmine Jasudavicius will face Karine Silva in a flyweight matchup. Jasudavicius is looking to bounce back after suffering a loss last October, while Silva is coming off a recent decision defeat and is looking to regain momentum. There are also reports that Rafael Estevam and Ethan Ewings will square off in a flyweight bout at an upcoming Fight Night event in Las Vegas. Estevam remains undefeated as a professional and is riding a strong win streak, while Ewings impressed fans with his debut win on short notice and is looking to continue building hype. Another fight that's reportedly been added is a middleweight bout between Edmund Shabazian and Junyoung Park. Shabazian is currently on a winning streak and will look to extend it, while Park is aiming to get back in the win column after a recent loss. Additionally, bantamweights Alberto Montes and Ricky Turcios are reportedly set to fight on March 7th. Montes will be making his UFC debut after earning his contract on Dana White's Contender Series, while Turcios is looking to bounce back after a loss and regain his footing in the division. These upcoming fights could have major implications across multiple divisions, and we'll keep you updated as more details get confirmed. Dricus Du Plessis praises Israel Adesanya. Next up, we've got a surprising moment of respect between former rivals. Dricus Du Plessis recently praised Israel Adesanya, despite their intense rivalry leading up to their fight. The two fighters exchanged plenty of trash talk in the past, arguing over their identities and firing insults across social media and interviews. Their rivalry peaked when they finally fought in 2024, with Du Plessis securing a submission victory in the 4th round. Fast forward to today, and neither man currently holds the middleweight belt. Adesanya is coming off multiple losses and is scheduled to face a rising contender in March, while Du Plessis reflected on Adesanya's willingness to take risky fights. In a recent interview, Du Plessis praised Adesanya for taking on lower-ranked opponents and putting his reputation on the line to create exciting matchups. He pointed out that many fighters only accept fights against higher-ranked opponents, but Adesanya is giving contenders opportunities and helping move the division forward. According to Du Plessis, this mindset shows what kind of warrior Adesanya is and why fans continue to respect him. Din Thomas on the possibility of Conor McGregor's return. Now let's talk about Conor McGregor and the ongoing speculation about whether he'll return to the UFC. Din Thomas recently shared his thoughts on McGregor potentially fighting on the White House card. While many people believe McGregor will never return, Thomas thinks the UFC would jump at the opportunity to make the fight happen if a deal becomes possible. He explained that fighting at the White House would likely be a once-in-a-lifetime event, and both the UFC and fighters like McGregor or Jon Jones would want to be part of something historic like that. Thomas said that if the opportunity arises, he believes the UFC will find a way to make it happen. There are also signs that McGregor may actually be training seriously again, with recent footage showing him sparring and staying active. Do you think we'll see McGregor on the White House card? Let us know your prediction in the comments. Paulo Costa's coach explains the move to light heavyweight. Next, we've got an update on Paulo Costa and his move up to light heavyweight. Costa is scheduled to face Azamat Murzakanov at UFC 327, marking his debut in the 2 to 5 pound division. For this camp, Costa relocated to Florida and began working with a new head coach. According to his coach, Costa decided to move up in weight because his goal is to become a world champion as soon as possible. He reportedly passed on a middleweight fight opportunity and instead chose to take a bigger risk at light heavyweight. His coach explained that Costa was frustrated with the lack of opportunities in the top rankings at middleweight, and when the UFC offered him a chance at light heavyweight with potential ranking implications in both divisions, he decided to take it. The plan, according to his coach, is for Costa to win at 205 and secure top 5 rankings in both middleweight and light heavyweight, giving him the flexibility to pursue a title in either division. Costa's coach emphasized that Costa isn't just trying to win fights, he wants to make history. But this move has sparked debate among fans, especially considering his recent record. Do you think it's fair for Costa to receive this kind of opportunity? Drop your thoughts below. Alexander Volkanovski reflects on his fight with Islam Makhachev. Next up, Alexander Volkanovski recently reflected on his first fight with Islam Makhachev, marking 3 years since their legendary matchup at UFC 284. Volkanovski said the fight was one of the biggest moments of his career, even though he lost. He talked about how many fans believed he won the fight and how stepping up to face Makhachev was considered an almost impossible challenge at the time. He also mentioned how the fight elevated his reputation and helped break records in Australia in terms of attendance, pay-per-view buys, and overall hype. Volkanovski admitted that even though he lost, the respect he gained from that performance made it one of the most important moments of his career. He also recalled stepping in on short notice for their rematch at UFC 294, which ended in a knockout loss, but he emphasized that stepping up to save the card was still an important moment, and something fans continue to respect him for. Huge UFC 327 fight leak. Now for one of the biggest stories of the day, rumors of a major UFC 327 title fight being leaked. For weeks, many fans believed Joshua Van's first title defense would be against Manel Kape, but new reports suggest that might not be the case. A recent post claimed that Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira is in the works for UFC 327, with both fighters reportedly agreeing to the matchup. Van even stated that he signed the contract and has been actively pushing for a fight. Van has been vocal on social media, saying he's bored and wants to stay active rather than sit on the sidelines. Meanwhile, Kape has also responded, accusing sources of spreading misinformation and confusing fans. Kape eventually posted a comment that suggested Van might not be fighting him next, adding even more fuel to the speculation. As of now, the UFC has not officially announced Van versus Taira, so this remains an unconfirmed rumor. But if this fight does happen, it could have major implications for the flyweight division. Outro, and that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an MMA or UFC update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.